we have?
It'll take me just a second. Scott is online. Video is on, but it's showing black. Okay, also turn on. Is the other one that hosts.
The other one should be host. I took the one off of that. I didn't check this one.
Chris, before you go, there's soundboard, isn't it?
I don't have all the mics set up, so.
Okay.
Okay. Call the meeting of the Building Commission to order at 11:04 on May 26th. And Scott's online, correct?
Correct.
Yeah, okay. And anyone for public comment? Okay. Mhm.
Hi, I'm just here during my lunch break to say that I am concerned about the data center proposed to be built in Kearneysville. I'm concerned mostly for water supply reasons. Many people in that street use well water. And I know that we are, as declared by the EPA, a severe drought area, most of this whole entire Eastern Panhandle. And so I'm concerned about the use of the water supply, if it's going to be too much use, as well as concerns about forever chemicals being introduced into the water supply. So I would like information about that. I feel like they haven't given enough information. And as somebody who lives in Jefferson County, there hasn't been a lot of Jefferson County people coming up to commission meetings, so I decided to come down. I'm also know that there are people looking for county commissioners, particularly to help as plaintiffs to sign against or to repeal House Bill 2014. So I also wanted to state that. That's it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. If there's no one else, I guess to new business for the annual election of officers.
Scott, are you able to hear us? And speak?
He's actually off now. He was
Okay.
on just a
Oh,
second
dear.
ago, but he is now off.
Well, as soon as we get him back, let us know.
It's just going to voicemail, so he may have not great service where he is.
Okay.
But you do have a quorum of 2 to 3. You could move forward or you could defer to another meeting.
What do you want to do?
Well, Scott's the current president.
Mm-mm. Vice.
Vice, you're the president.
Mhm.
Okay, I apologize. I had that
No, it's okay.
backwards. Do you have an objection to continuing as president?
I suppose not.
Well, I make a motion that Addie Crawford continue in her office of president of the building commission.
And then as far as.
Do you need to, do you need to make a second?
I second.
Okay. And then as far as vice president, I had been intending.
You'll want to take action on that motion
Yeah,
before moving
okay.
forward with the second motion.
So there's been a motion and a second.
Yes. So I will remain the chair
Okay.
of the building commission.
Oh, so it's unanimous then?
I think so.
Okay. Yes.
Would you like to be vice chair?
I would accept that nomination. I had intended to nominate Scott, but I think since he's absent, it would be
Well, motion.
second.
So Josh Beal is the vice chair of building
Yeah.
commission. And then as far as secretary,
Do we have a secretary in our bylaws?
it's, yeah,
You do.
Okay,
And
Eddie's the-
you appoint.
but we have appointed you
Yes.
previously. I make a motion that we appoint Edwina, excuse me.
second.
All right.
All right, so Eddie will remain the
Unani-
secretary.
Yes.
Yes.
Mm.
All right. And then I guess next on the agenda is the overview of the 393 progress and payments.
Right, so we closed on the building last summer. We had to make our first payment in December and we made that entirely on impact fees. So no funds were used for that. Originally, we had reserved $13.5 million for the payments for the first, the beginning time in this building, plus the build out. And we didn't even need to touch those for the first payment because we used impact fees in order to pay for those. We are now approaching our second payment, and we'll be using, and this is a larger payment because it's principal plus interest. Before it was just interest. And so we will be using funds reserved for this purpose out of that 13.5 million. And then in the fall, for our December payment, we anticipate that we'll be using a significant portion of ARPA funds. What we did at the commission level was say that any unused ARPA funds would then basically fall into this basket that would pay for the payment on the building. So recipients of ARPA funds have been notified that they need to submit invoices by December 1st. Anything that's not invoiced by December 1st will then be used towards this payment. Then for progress on the buildings and some other funds, we applied for an earmark for this building for the relocation and expansion of the health department. And we were funded in, I want to say November-ish when it was approved for that expansion and relocation at $365,000 towards the build out of this building. We applied for an earmark in the amount of $5 million for the build out of the building next door, which we call 330, that core building. And it was supported by both Capito and Justice. And so the process for an earmark request is it's first starts by you requesting with your member. And we requested with all three members, Justice and Capito, then have to write letters with regard to the appropriation request that they're supporting. And then they submit that to the subcommittee of jurisdiction of the appropriations committee. And that had to be completed last month. And we were moved forward by both Justice and Capito at that $5 million range. So does it mean we're getting 5 million? Nowhere near there. We still have a long road to go, but we passed probably the largest hurdle in the process, which is getting to the subcommittee of the appropriations committee.
Okay.
That's in the Department of Ag Appropriations Bill for community facilities.
Okay.
Build out of this building and the building next door. The commission approved the build out plans for 330 or for 393. I'm sorry, this building that we're in. And we first approved the build out for the clerk space, which is the space just across the hallway from us. And that was because early voting needed to occur in some place, and it made the most sense to have it occur here. And in order for that timing to happen, the commission had to approve that first. They did. Early voting took place in this building, and it was fantastic. I think anytime that you move a voting location, it can be a little bit hard to find, but then once people were here, they were like, this is amazing to be able to have a kind of a one-stop shop. And then also canvassing an election, you have to have the voting boxes and machines all in some place, and moving them around is pretty burdensome. And here it was super simple. It's probably the easiest process that we've ever had. So that happened. And then we approved the build out for the entire building, and the architect right now is working on, you have to put a very detailed building plan together. And we're in a weird situation in that we don't submit building plans to the city of Charlestown because municipalities are prohibited from oversight of county buildings. And we don't exist in the county. And so I directed staff in the engineering, planning and zoning department to review our building plans in the same way they would any building in the county. And so we are waiting for those plans back from the architect. The overall plan has been approved by the commission, but then exactly in the spacing of the studs, et cetera, needs to go through the engineering, planning and zoning. And I anticipate that here in the next few weeks. As for timing, we moved the clerk's office in prior to early voting. We've moved the assessor's office in. The next up is the tax office, and we could have moved them in earlier, but it brings them in a bit of a moving process during the busiest time of year for them. So they'll come in after the big tax season push. The ambulance fee office will be moving in here probably very soon. And then all of the buildings upstairs, which are engineering, planning, and zoning, county commission's office, IT, GIS, prosecuting attorney are all in the process of moving over here. So that's where we are with this building. With 330, we worked with our state legislators to be able to rewrite some legislation to allow the county commission to sell buildings within excess buildings that it has. Previously, county commissions had to auction excess buildings, which meant that you could get a significantly lower amount than what you had anticipated. In fact, when we pulled national reports on it, it was somewhere between 70 and 75% of what you would get if you sold it, if you auctioned it instead of selling it. And so we rewrote that legislation. The commission put out an RFP for brokerage services. They did their first review of brokerage services and are negotiating that final contract. And I anticipate that at the June 4th meeting, they'll select a broker. This is important because we need to sell those buildings to be able to afford much of the build out of the 330, that building next door. The total estimated cost, if we selected everything that we absolutely wanted for that building, was over $11 million. So we're planning to do it in phases and to take over those things that we think are most important first, which are things like the ballistic glazing and the walls and the detention facility on the first floor. That's the overview of the two buildings. Do you have any questions?
The buildings, I guess, that you're talking about, the excess buildings, it would be on what's on Washington Street.
And there are some also on George Street.
Okay. And that legislation gives them the ability to go ahead and, so we wouldn't be involved in that at all. It'd be the,
You don't own any of the buildings on Washington or
Okay.
George Street.
okay. I don't have any.
Motion to adjourn.
All right. Meeting is adjourned at 11:18.